Welcome to America's Pundit. I am your host, Cassandra Burks, and today we have a very interesting topic. I have a guest here with me. So without further ado, I want to introduce G.
Hello,
G,
how you doing, sir? I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, cool. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. I want to thank you for taking the time out to speak with me. A few things that I know always gets discovered and brought up is about the upbringing of candidates. And I want to say that as an adolescent, as someone who was, fresh to Atlanta, not the state of Georgia, but Atlanta, and as someone who was, 16 years old, always in the trouble, I loved music. And so I always did music. I go to a studio behind the Vortex with, a group of people. We were adolescents, and I met you. And you actually took a liking to the music that I made. Why did you like the music that I made during that time? What was so special? Like, what made you say, you know what, I want to invest in this young lady?
Yeah, well, at that time, we were looking for some independent artists, young raw talent coming up out of the South Side. I grew up in College Park, Georgia, myself. So I met you through, I believe, a couple of little group from Conley Road, which is Clayton County. And they told me about a young lady. I guess you're about 16, 17, maybe 18 years old, maybe 17. When I met you, and when I met you, I noticed right away that there was something different about you. You were, you had an edge to you, but you were also articulate, and you wrote your own lyrics, which was different. You did a lot of your own writing, creativity. So yeah, when I met you, like I said, I met you through a group of young men who actually used to do some work for me in the streets and stuff like that. So, I knew you had an edge to you, and you were articulate. So, and then we started vibing on some music, and you not only could you rap, you knew how to harmonize and knew how to syncopate music and things like that. So we kind of vibed in that aspect. But then more and more I got to know you, I understood that, that you were different as far as you actually had a drive that most of the young men that I was dealing with, they didn't have that same hunger or that same drive or the same ingenuity to go out here and make some things happen and get some things done, by any means necessary. So so we just kind of clicked on that level, and rest is kind of history, as they say. So.
Now, during the time when I met you, I was always in trouble. But I was 16, had a vehicle. I was getting ready to get an apartment. But I was deep in the streets. It's not a thing. I know people today, I've cleared up my life and they see me and they say there's no way, but I was deep in the streets. And as someone who wasn't from here, I found Atlanta to be fast-paced. It was something about, Atlanta for me, And you said you're from College Park, correct?
Right, yeah, I'm from the South Side. I'm, Southwest Atlanta, but, I went to high school in College Park, grew up in College Park. But, my family...
Like you in College Park, not to cut you off, but what was life like for you? Like your upbringing, like what were some of the influences that you had?
I mean, my life was growing up kind of fast. At the time, the airport was growing. So we were, in the group I was running with, the little clique I was running with, we used to do a lot of things coming out of the airport. A lot of people were moving down here from up north. And there was a lot of, we first started getting intel or behind-the-scenes information about products coming in and out of the airport. So we would get, and, people who worked at the airport needed somebody to actually go pick up those things from the airport. So we were one of the little groups to go pick those things up from the airport that nobody else would pick up. That actually, without permission, kind of say. So without going into too much detail, and as the airport grew, business grew, our reputation grew, more contacts grew, and and being in the streets, and back then there was the Jack the Rapper convention. I don't know if you ever heard, but the Jack the Rapper convention actually started. And the first one was in College Park on Sullivan Road at the Marriott Marquis. And we went there, and we were there with the likes of all the big acts, Too Shorts and Tupacs and EPMD, not EPMD, but what's the boy's name? Full Force, and some of those guys like that. And actually ended up doing some DJing and ended up my buddies and them actually stole about $10,000s worth of equipment and out of somebody's hotel room, like in the suitcases,
wow.
The mixers and then what they call the 1,200 turntables and all that kind of stuff.
Right,
so,
back in that time.
Yeah, back in the days, So that kind of got us into the music game, and that was like in the 80s, like early. We're talking like 83, 82, 84 maybe, something like that.
So you were around during the time of the Freaknik. Was it Freaknik?
Oh yeah, before the Freaknik, like picnic. It was the
Freaknik. But it was Freaknik. Where did that name come from? Where did the name come from?
Well, I mean, see, back then, every Sunday, even before the Freaknik, we cruised. That was our thing as teenagers, black teenagers in the city. And Atlanta has about a park, 1,000 parks, a lot of parks. So on each side of town, everybody has their own park. Every neighborhood had their own park. And
growing up in Atlanta, did you feel like a minority, though? Did you ever feel like okay, I'm displaced?
No, we were the majority. We've always been the majority in Atlanta. Always been the majority. Black people have always done well. My family has always done well. But Atlanta has never been. Black people have never been without in Atlanta. We've always been getting it in Atlanta. So I have to remind people who come from other places, nigga, we've been doing this shit. Y'all new to this. We true to this. You understand me?
Right.
Been doing this shit, the same shit y'all doing now, the same strip clubs and all that shit. We've been doing this shit. I go to strip clubs. I was 13 years old, Gentlemen's Club, downtown. It's no longer there. So, been doing it, the Purple Onion and Blue Flames and, things like that. So, we've been doing this shit. This shit ain't nothing new. They just start bringing a lot of different outside money in. Commercialize it. When they commercialize it, of course, that made the money. You made it mainstream. And what used to be taboo has now become popular, mainstream, and profitable for other cultures. That's the only reason people get money. But we've been doing this shit.
I remember having, some times, and I also remember meeting some very big, very, very big influential people with you. I remember you paid for me to do songs with some big names. I even Yin Yang Twins. I made what is it?
Hollywood. My boy Hollywood from Memphis, who actually put 3 6 and Slim, my own boys, all from Memphis. We used to work in the studio with them. Then the EPMD and them used to come down here from New York. I was very close with Eric. We used to do some stuff together in his studio. He came down and bought a studio on P Street. Used to be an old rim shop. We used to go back in the back of the rim shop and drop music. Damn, all these old cats, man. But yeah, we actually did some other stuff. Kool Ace, of course, Cool and all them boys. That's Jazzy Faye and all these cats. And they may to this day they may say otherwise, but I remember the niggas couldn't work a machine. You know what I'm saying? So
right, because all these years of experience, you're like, how?
I remember niggas used to come to the bar, come to my boy Rico's, sitting Rico Lewis' basement out on Flat Shows, Bethesda Road out there in College Park. Niggas like Jermaine and them used to come in there just to pick up some culture, just to pick up. Jermaine couldn't come out the house. Understand me? Unless his dad, Dad and them, he was homeschooled. That was before homeschooling was popular.
But let me ask you. growing up and coming from where you came from, did you ever feel like you were at a disadvantage? Like, did you ever feel like, okay, I'm coming from College Park, I'm coming from Colony Road, Forest Park, Clinton County, all these different areas that are really the majority African-American people. Did you ever feel like you were disadvantaged? Or did you always feel like you had
to the contrary. I grew up, my great-grandfather taught Martin Luther King. Out of Morehouse. My grandmother taught all the Kings, the Abernethys, the Bonds, all the children. I never grew up thinking that there was no limits. President, astronaut, whatever you want to do.
What did you feel about dealing with other cultures? Did you feel like, did you want to deal with other cultures? Did you feel like we're not accepted?
To be honest, I was a teenager before I even knew there were other cultures. My doctor was black. My mailman was black. The judges were black. The teachers were black. The people at the grocery store were black. We owned the stores. I was a teenager before I even realized there were white folks. Until when I moved out to College Park. Back then, College Park was majority white. Okay. I was a little earlier than teenager. I guess about 10 or something like that. But up until that point, living in Southwest Atlanta, right down the street from the AU Center, there were no other cultures. We were the culture. We still are the dominant culture, even though we got other cultures trying to infiltrate the city now and trying to gentrify and come in. But we've been doing this before Reconstruction. It goes all the way back. So and to make a long story short, on the same block you had the preachers and the pimps who lived in my neighborhood. So these were the people who made money. My granddaddy was a contractor. He built everybody's house, the pimp's house, the player's house, the judge's house, the doctors, the lawyers, all the black people who had enough money to buy a house. My grandfather and his brothers built the houses. So, this is something that I grew up, there were no limits. There was nothing we couldn't do. There was nothing we shouldn't do. As a matter of fact, we did it all. I seen everybody do it all. So by the time I met you, I had just come out of have been locked up, have been just actually beat a case, with some of the RICO case, serious RICO case, Papa Walter Davis, back in the day, I was indicted on that, but I was young cat. They didn't want me, so they told me to take my ass back to college, back to school. So that's what I did.
And so you started to you inspired a lot of people. You inspired a lot of youth. I feel like you let us make decisions on our own, but I feel like you try to teach the game. Redirect us and say, listen, focus on music.
Teach the game. Like we try to teach the game.
You used to come to me like, look, you need to focus on music. Your focus is everywhere else. I'm not your father. I can't tell you. I can't make you, but focus. And I was always like, what? I don't have nobody. I don't have the family I had, and you like you have us. And so,
exactly.
And I had, it was days I remember
it was just hard to get you still. Yeah, trying to keep you still. Try to take care of those basic needs where you had a place over your head. A safe place without.
It was days I didn't have food. I didn't have a place to stay. I had a car.
Right.
But I didn't have food. I didn't have a place to stay. I needed to wash up. I needed to, take care of myself. And I feel like you made that happen for me in a lot of ways at a young age. Now, we fell out of contact for several years. Several years. And so I'm a completely different person from the person that you knew. When the person that you first met.
Things got kind of wild. Things got kind of wild. Shit, the block got hot. A lot of niggas fell off. Cocaine and things like that got involved, and people fall off. You know what I'm saying? But now, but I always knew that you were a survivor. I always knew you were a survivor. And I knew you pretty much, if you just got away from certain people, had a lot of dead weight around you, a lot of cats that around you that were trying to tie you down, But once you got rid of those, I kept up with you, kind of kept up with you as much as I could, And I knew that once you got rid of a couple of cats, that one guy that was trying to lock you down and control you and hold you down, once you did that, you would take off, you would find your way. And you did, you did. I mean, you had the drive and the understanding that, that when things need to be done, regardless of what those things were, that you were willing to go do them. In order to survive and to take the next step. Not necessarily to be to hurt anybody else, but in order to just take that next step in your development. We had to take some falls.